See, what I love about this place is they do this incredible Italian-style roast pork, okay? And what they do, it's the loin and the belly, and they salt cure it overnight, so you get this really crispy top. And just when you think you've had all this wonderful meat, they also do this vegetarian grilled cheese.
Sounds good.
They do an eggplant one. They did this place is unbelievable. I don't think they had it when you went here. This was a new place.
No, I think it's a new place.
So I guess where I'm always fascinated when I talk to filmmakers is to try to figure out where in your creative evolution did you know you were going to be a filmmaker?
I think as a little girl, I was making up stories all the time. So at 3, I would pretty much be able to put together pictures into a story and make something which was not there, and everybody believed me because it was so impassioned. I think a little later in the 80s, I grew up with Spielberg's films, like your E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So, and I was actually in school always picked up for theater. I was very creative as a child.
Does it feel good to come back to Vancouver after all this time?
It feels best to come back to Vancouver. I'll tell you why, because when I was here in film school, there was a lot of exciting stuff that I lived through. Coming to Vancouver Film School was a great learning for me because it was the first time I was actually away from home. Mm-hmm. And it brought, I think what I learned at film school was significant. However, what I learned while I was in film school with other people, being part of this multicultural, multifaceted little batch. It was amazing because just the chance, the opportunity to be with so many people, different people, even from within Canada, who were so high and passionate on film. It just felt as if it was my place, that I could, just come and own everything that was everything about it, which is the different people, and I could experience that every department was working in tandem with all other departments for one particular vision. But we had a great time. Yeah.
So, Manika, one of the most important pieces you worked on when you were here, and you were telling me about this the other day, was the documentary Crimes of the Art. And this was something that you had written and produced right here as a student, and this was very important to you. And I want to. It's a very special Vancouver story. Tell me about this, how it all came together.
Crimes of the Art is about Michael. His story was completely inspiring because he used to be an excellent skateboarder. He used to do these tricks and flips on top of the SkyTrain, fell one time, had a really bad accident, was paralyzed waist down, went into rehab. Like a true, bold human story, And then in the film, we actually shot him making graffiti tags, in the most downtown areas of the city and get away from that, like in front of the police, like chase, get away. So pretty much people like him inspire such stories. I mean, you're so compelled to shoot them and to tell their stories. So Crimes of the Art was a huge learning experience for me because I realized that this format of human stories and documentaries about human stories can be so powerful in your own life because you not only get inspired but you get more interested to tell more such stories. And for me that was the beginning of my love for documentaries. I think that's what I discovered at VFS right there. This is a format I would never ever like to leave because as much as I would like to do fiction and my other stories, but I definitely would love to continue making documentaries, and which is what I did later on. I did a lot of documentaries for the UN, for the United Nations.
And then, of course, you leave school, and as all these students do, you got to go out into this great big industry. And The Wishing Tree, your film, it's going to be a big deal real soon. A lot of people are going to be hearing about this. What's it all about? Tell me about the film.
Well, at the center of the film is this 6,000-year-old tree. So I actually was inspired with one particular tree in Cathedral Grove in British Columbia while I was here. And that experience of that hug of that tree sort of inspired a story. And I started writing these characters, these child characters, and I fused it together with the 6,000-year-old tree, which is a wish-fulfilling tree. And it's one day that this little kid, she always makes the shortcut through the jungle into the bus stop, and she talks to it and and she cries to it, and there's a teardrop that sort of touches the root, and the tree sort of comes alive after so many years because first time after thousands of years somebody's come to believe it.
It's a beautiful story, and for you to have written something and put so much thoughtfulness into the construction of that, was it easy to transition from the writer into the director in that sense?
I would say so. Because I remember that I did take this story to a lot of production houses in India and Mumbai, you know, the really large ones. And a lot of them wanted to buy the script off of me. And I said, you know, I just couldn't part with it. I just absolutely had to direct it. And it's very interesting that you ask me this because it was also my first official screenplay. I had never written a screenplay before this. And it just was this perfect story because whoever I shared it with, they were so amazed at the idea because it was so original.
And I mean, Netflix has picked this up on worldwide distribution, and you truly were worldwide in this. You shot this in Tibet, you shot this in parts of India. Where else did this get put together over the last few years?
You're absolutely right. I shot it in Ladakh, Leh Ladakh, which is the India-China border,
Yep.
and parts of Tibet. I shot it in Mumbai, and a lot of the tree portions were in Mumbai because we had constructed that 30-foot fiberglass tree.
And I saw this amazing shot of you in this helicopter. I mean, you looked like you were out of a Navy SEAL team movie. Tell me about that process. How did that become a critical shot you had to grab?
I needed a place which could look like the beginning of time, like how before the earth evolved, how things would be.
Yep.
And we had to flow into Ladakh. We chose a place. We got the Defense Ministry to say yes to giving us a chopper. We had to take off the doors. We flew up to about 25,000 feet into that freezing minus I don't know what. And yeah, I had a vision of the shot I wanted, and that was the snow peaks right from, you know, I wanted to see them from their top, you know, and we got that shot, and it was, it nearly killed us because we got back down and my fingertips and my toes were frozen 5 minutes into the flight. And it was a 45-minute sortie, and we got our shot.
How do you take the CGI component, which has to be there for a story this fantastical, and direct that? I mean, that's got to be very difficult.
I must give credit to my producer here because for someone who was making a first film, he could have really interfered creatively, but he didn't. He just let me do my thing. And we, for the longest time, wondering how we were going to actually make this into a reality. We had created the base of the tree, you know, up to about 30 feet, but beyond that, the branches and everything else was done in CGI. And we realized that actually about 40% of this film, or 35 to 40%, was actually CGI. And because there was a lot of interaction between the children and the tree, there were hugs, there were kisses. We had to have a part of it which was made in fiberglass, and then the part which moves the most sort of in CGI. And there are parts of the film in which the entire tree is replaced as a CGI tree. So it was a crazy CGI journey, CGI live action journey. It was a huge learning experience, and I give credit to my team. I also can say that my debut film made me learn so much.
What's next for you? What do you know, have you switched off Wishing Tree? Will it ever be turned off? When do you move on to the next project? Are you even able to do that?
I believe Wishing Tree will never really be switched off, although I've said that I'm detached from it. I am detached from it, but I just believe that its purpose is done now. When it reaches all the kids in the world, you know, in 30 languages, 200 countries, it'll be phenomenal, you know, for them to experience trees. And I think even if one kid is able to connect with the tree in their backyard, my movie served its purpose. So I have put it behind me. It'll always be this special experience, you know, especially because it took that long, and it's taught me a lot as a person. I've transformed as a human being, as a filmmaker because of this experience. But yes, I have 2 very interesting screenplays ready to be produced, and I'm actually headed to LA looking for production houses to back my project because they are again of universal subjects. One of my films is the journey of a young assistant director through the film industry, and basically inspired from...
You know a little about that, I would imagine. Yeah.
And the victory in the end of making a movie, and how like a young girl who's totally a spoiled brat kind of becomes this amazing director. But the film after that is what I'm most excited about, which is what happened in India in the run-up to the Beijing Olympics in 2010, because how the environment and ecosystems were destroyed because of the iron ore mining. And so if somebody had to ask me what's my USP and what makes me unique, I would say that it's my ability to take whatever's happening as destruction in the environment and, you know, merge them, amalgamate them with these lovely human stories and make it so impactful that it actually becomes an agent of social change, of environmental change.
Manika, I think you are an agent of social change. I think the wishing tree is a masterpiece. And I wish you so much luck on these other two projects. And when you have those breakthrough moments, you have got to let me take you out somewhere else I got in mind for lunch.
Yes.
Next time you're in town.
I'll be so glad.
Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you, Christopher. Thank you so much. It was wonderful.